Hello everyone, welcome back to What a Comedian. It's been quite a while, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of been slacking a little bit because of just school and just a lot of things in general, colleges. A little life update. I actually just finished applying to 3 colleges today, 3 or 4, and which is great. And I still have 2 more to go. But I'm okay with it. I'm chilling. I cooked up an essay that was pretty good, I would say, today. But we'll see what the editors say. Life has been pretty good. Break started around a week ago. So I've been chilling. And I've been hanging out with my boyfriend. Watching a lot of movies. Eating a lot of food. Sleeping a lot. And also just working here and there. A lot of things have been annoying at work, especially with the main people calling off, and I have to deal with a lot of the more annoying sides of work, but that's okay because I still enjoy it. What else? I actually recently watched a special by Nate Barznetsky. Oh my god, let me search it up. Give me 1 second. Nate Bargatze. I was right, I think. But I recently watched his new special that came out on the 24th, and I enjoyed it. It was rather, I don't know, I kind of watched it in the background, so I don't remember what actually happened in it, so I might have to rewatch it. But nothing really struck out to me. So I'll rewatch it and then reevaluate my opinion on it. But I also watched some of Conan O'Brien's old material with Jordan Schlansky, and also his new material, the Conan and Jordan show, which is really funny. I really like their bit about how Jordan wants a quote-unquote romantic relationship with Conan O'Brien. And it was really funny. And also just Dr. Arroyo with Conan O'Brien is also great. I love it. I've been watching, I guess not watching, I've been listening to a lot of comedy recently. I actually watched Jimmy Carr, Natural Born Killer yesterday. Again, I've been listening to all of John Mulaney's material. I listened to Gabriel Iglesias. I listened to Ricky Gervais, I believe, Jim Gaffigan. I've been listening to a lot of them, and I've been trying to find newer comedians, because I've kind of stepped off my comedian obsession, but now it's coming back as I'm getting more and more bored. And my sister apparently gifted me a book about stand-up, so I'll make sure to start writing more stand-up material, get that thing going again. Let's see, what else has been going on in my life? If you've listened to all my episodes, or any of my episodes probably, last year I auditioned and somehow got into a show where I could host and produce and be in a comedy skit, and somehow I got in again. So I am currently doing that. I've been writing up monologues. I've been trying to input some of my jokes in the monologues and see where they go. I think I will be performing on January 18th, so it's actually coming up. I'm going to be memorizing my lines, so that's going to be fun. I'm really excited for that. Other than that, nothing really else has been happening. I mean, I've just been chilling. I've been trying to watch more movies, so if you have any, recommendations, let me know so I can try and watch them. I'm excited for Squid Games to come out. That's going to be fun. The new Rampage is going to come up again, but yeah, that's my life, and I'll just move on to the episode then. So today I'll be talking to Chad Maxwell. I actually talked to him a while ago, but I never got to actually edit the the episode, and I do apologize because this week's episode's audio quality is a little wonky. For some reason, my microphone only caught a little bit less of what he said, so the volume might be a little bit weird, and you might have to, I guess, really listen for him. And I seemed especially loud, and I just want to let you know that I cringe at myself when I listen to this, so if you cringe, don't worry. I am too. But please disregard anything. This is all just a learning experience for me and for me to gain knowledge. I swear my episodes later on are going to be better. So here's me, Chad Maxwell. Please listen and enjoy. Thank you. So how and when did you decide that you wanted to be a comedian?
So that kind of fell into my lap a little bit. I've always enjoyed making people laugh and, um, just being a goofball in general. But the main thing I wanted to do was actually just like writing in terms of like story or, not just comedy. Um, so I actually went into college for creative writing, and then I was like, oh, I want to do scripts and stuff, and they're like, oh no, like even before college started, they're like, oh no, you should switch the theater track because we're going to turn that into a theater and film track. And then I was like, okay, cool. So I switched over to that, started doing some more writing and doing more performance as well. Like in high school, I was doing like show choir and stuff, and I did like a musical, and that really made me enjoy like acting. And just throughout my childhood, I would like film dumb videos with my friends. But yeah, I never really considered going into film until actually college. I was actually more into music, but then I was like, I suck at music, dude, so much. Oh my god. But I just liked writing like songs or stories and whatnot. So I ended up going into college doing acting. I did some musicals. I did a lot of acting, especially like the type of acting where you like just are on a stage and you just read through the play. You kind of perform it without any blocking. I did a bunch of those. Those were always fun. Um, but my inspirations were always like dark comedies, like Coen Brothers, and like my favorite writer director is Martin McDonagh. He did like Banshees of Inisherin,
Yeah.
In Bruges. Um, but I just wanted to do all these things, but all these ideas were always so overly ambitious
Mm-hmm.
that not during the pandemic, but kind of towards the tail end of it, I actually started making TikToks for fun.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, instead of getting stuck on switching between all these different side projects that are never going to get done, because I'm just like too much of a perfectionist, I was like, let me just um, start making dumb 1 minute videos and just practice finishing something, right? And I think that really helped. And then eventually I was just kind of throwing stuff against the wall, just doing whatever I thought was funny. Whenever I do a trend, I would do like, I'll try to figure out some way to subvert it because I'm not a big trend person at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got hiccups because I just came back from Porto's. Had a bunch of like pastries. um, but yeah, and then I started doing TikTok, and eventually, like, I made this video where it was like, it was a Matt Maltese song that this one girl, Sarah Cothran, did a cover of, where it's like, oh, it's like, oh boy, it's you that I lie with, like that song. It was like everyone was putting it to like like either like anime edits or like movie edits because it's
Mm-hmm.
like so dramatic.
Yeah.
So I made a bro version where it's like instead of two lovers, it's two dudes. Um, and that was probably the first video that got over 1 million. And then after that, I was just like, oh, maybe I could actually do something with this. And then I just started making more comedy skits, and I really enjoyed doing the comedy skits. And yeah, and then like the rest is history. Now through my comedy skits on like TikTok and Instagram, I started. Uh, I One of my friends I made was this guy Cam Gavinsky.
Yeah.
Really funny, hilarious guy. And he introduced me to Todd Glass. And he's hilarious. And I started working with him to kind of help him with his social media and stuff, and help him come up with ideas for skits. And we managed to grow his social media to like literally from like 400 followers on TikTok to like 200K.
Wow.
And then like kind of like a similar thing on Instagram. He had like 10K on Instagram, and now he's also at like 220K. But yeah, and I started working with him, and through him I started working with Rory Scovel and doing kind of a similar thing, and also getting similar results. So yeah, at that point I was just like, I should really kind of just like maybe think about doing comedy as like a more full time thing. So now lately I've been hitting open mics, practicing comedy,
Yeah.
stand up comedy. I've been kind of treating it kind of like a different muscle group in the gym,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, like I know I could do sketch, I know I could character act, and I know I could do improv. Obviously, nowhere near as well as people that like literally do it professionally in groundlings, but like enough where people are like, oh, you can do this. So I was like, okay, maybe I should also take up stand up just to, kind of see what that's all about, and learn a different form of comedy. I think that's been really fun. It's just kind of like realizing that there are all these different genres and subgenres of comedy that people are good at. Because most people, when they think of comedian, they think of stand-up comedians, and they
Yeah.
don't think of people like, Bill Hader, or
Mm-hmm.
like, Paul Rudd, who are like, they're actors first. But their whole thing is just, I mean, but they're hilarious. They certainly are comedians. Yeah.
Do you often watch like stand up?
I watch. I don't watch it like religiously, but like I probably watch maybe like 2 to 4 specials like a year. You know.
So that is not religiously.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of people that watch like nothing but stand-up comedy. I mean, I certainly watch a lot of stand-up comedy clips.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, from people like, but like people like Rob Stantz and
Mm-hmm.
God, Troy Bond. I also
Oh
really
yeah.
like.
He's a huge one on Instagram.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and I also really like Sahib Singh. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's his name. Um, he's a comedian that also does like really funny, TikTok videos and stuff, but he's also a stand-up. Like, have you ever seen that video where it's like this girl going like, "What's the stock market?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then he's just like, "You don't know what the wait, what you say? Like, what's the stock market?" And he obviously doesn't know what it is, but he's getting pissed that
Yeah.
she doesn't know what it is. It's so good, and he makes so many great videos. Um, and also I've seen like his Don't Tell comedy set, and I really liked it. Um, but yeah, I guess what aspect of comedy is like your favorite, or the, the part that kind of inspires you the most personally?
I only got into comedy because of stand up actually, because I started watching like I got my sister got Netflix, so I just mooched off of her back in like quarantine days. So then I like watched like Gabriel Iglesias, John Mulaney, Jimmy Carr, and I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. But I would like only stick to those like three or four people, and then until actually like this past year, where my English teacher was also a big like John Mulaney fan. So we started chatting about stand up, and he's like, "Oh, you should listen to this person." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll listen to this person to get an A." And then I listened. I'm like, "Oh, maybe this is kind of funny." So then I started like venturing out into like other things, and nowadays I actually like sketch comedy a lot too. Because I went to watch a show at Second City, and I went with my mom, and she obviously did not get the humor, but I was like, oh, this is actually kind of funny. Like I was like, this is really interesting, and I actually performed like a like comedy skit for something in our school for like I was like a host for some like talent show, like singing talent show, and I was like the host made a comedy skit, and I found out like I wasn't nervous at all on stage, and it was very delightful to do. So I was like, maybe I'll venture into more of this, but mainly it's like stand up. But like I also enjoy watching like sketches and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny. I know that a lot of like usually like the stereotype is that the parents are kind of like if their kids like, oh, I want to go into comedy or even like film or any kind of like art, artistic pursuit, they are usually like, oh, make sure to choose something practical, but I think that's starting to change a lot lately because people are kind of realizing that you could actually like, especially if you go into like film, you know, um, like it's you could totally find a quote unquote normal job with your film degree. Um, and what's great about it as well is like like it complements comedy,
Yeah.
um, especially when it comes to like sketch and like writing and filming and stuff like that. Because I mean, straight out of college, sure, I worked like a retail job, but then after that, I went into just being like a full time videographer for this one company, doing all their like photo assets for their
Yeah.
online store and like their video um, stuff for like their announcements of things of different product lines, and you kind of quickly realize like every marketing team needs a videographer or like someone who can edit or anything along those lines, and every company needs marketing,
Mm-hmm.
um, because my buddy from high school, he's really talented with the camera, but he does that and also edits for like this medical company,
Damn.
and that's his main gig. And then
Yeah.
he also likes to make fun little skits and stuff on the side, So it's like I feel like people are starting to realize like, oh yeah, that's actually a viable career path. Like maybe stand up specifically is really hard to like break out into, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely things that complement comedy that are valid um, and easily accessible like career paths. Um, but yeah, how do you feel with like I guess like going about to go into college and I guess what your pursuits are in that regard.
I mean, I definitely um see my parents are quite still like old timer, like they're relatively old. I don't want to say their age, but let's just say I have a sibling who's 17 years older than me. So
Oh, gotcha.
so like they're there, Um
Mhm.
and they don't like I the one time I was like in like 10th grade, I was like I want to become a novel writer. and they like sat me down and they're like, so like we got to make sure like you're choosing the right career choice, and you know
Mm-hmm.
you can be a doctor and still write books on the side. So
Yeah.
yeah, I realized from that I'm like, okay, they're not gonna let me do anything really on the artistic side, but it's still something I'm like very interested in, even though I feel like I'm definitely of a more of a math science person. I definitely still enjoy like more like music and like writing and like let's just say comedy and acting and all things. Even though I've never had that much experience with it, I certainly feel like in college I would definitely like to try some of it since there's going to be definitely a lot of more
Really.
opportunities and a lot of my freedom for my parents. So you know I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And what's nice about that too is like you can take electives that kind of, allow you to explore those things as well. You know, like you could literally just as an elective just go like, oh, I'm gonna take an acting class, an intro to acting class, as my elective. And it's just like a fun thing.
Yeah.
Granted, in my um, major, uh, it was like part of the course curriculum.
Yeah.
But there are definitely like in the first class at least, there are definitely people who weren't in the department that were, just like math and science, majors that are like STEM majors that just want to, do something different, because like, you know, not every STEM person is an introvert, they
Exactly.
want to sometimes go and do something crazy, or even the introverted want to figure out a outlet, for them to kind of express themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean like I
yeah.
definitely I used to I think it's maybe a bit of COVID, but like I was always like a very introverted person, but throughout like ability to make other people laugh, I feel like I've gotten way out of my shell more. Um
Mm-hmm.
it is true that I am very weird. So people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" But like, you know, I stopped caring that much, but it's like so much nicer, you know.
Yeah. No, it's funny because one of my best friends, I do a lot of videos with him. His name's Sean Dolan. He's a stand up, and he's a really funny guy. But he was telling me that stand up kind of helped him like break out of his shell because he was kind of like forced to go out and interact with people, and then
Yeah.
after the mics, hang out with the other comics. Um, but yeah, and I would say he's probably one of the most like you know sociable people I know. Like I would be like, oh, I don't really clock you for an introvert, and he'd be
Yeah.
like, I don't really think I am that much anymore. Sometimes because I think it's just kind of like a balance thing. Like
Mhm.
sometimes everyone needs like a moment to themselves, and then some people just need it more than others.
Yeah.
Um, like personally, I'm like, oh, like if like I'm introverted until I get out of the house. Like I need an excuse to leave the house, and then I feel so much more like energized and stuff. But yeah, no, it's funny. Like I'm the guy that is always like, oh, like you guys are going home already, and they're like, yeah, Chad, it's like 3 a.m.
No, yeah, I'm definitely like the opposite. Like I like we had like some like parties or like sleepovers and I just like at 8 p.m. I'm already in my like bed. I'm like I'm not even trying to sleep. I just want to be alone. I'm like I don't want to be near the party. Uh, my social battery has been dead. So, that's it.
Yeah. No, I feel like my social battery is runs on social power, so it's just like
It just keeps on going.
whenever I'm socializing, it just keeps going, and
Yeah.
then I have to be by myself for it to be like. Actually, I think that's what it is because when I wake up and I don't start the day like hanging out with someone, I just feel lazy the whole day. Like I
Yeah.
just like I feel drained, and then as soon as I start hanging out with people, I'm just like, oh. But sometimes when I'm like more emotional or feel like I really have to like lock in and work on something, then I get very okay. Like sometimes like my own personal creative time needs to be like you know, zero distractions, including people. So I feel that as well.
I mean, like I just personally just enjoy just staying alone. I'm like, it sounds really bad, but it's just like going out is a lot of work.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I when I do go out, it's fine. It's just like
Mhm.
it's whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I also tend to find that, like, when once people get into college as well, like, they just become more like extroverted in general.
yeah.
Because I think high school for most people, I know it was the case for me. Like, it's just like, man, I'm like, you're like just trying to find yourself, and then sometimes it's like I need time to be alone, almost like you're like going into a cocoon. So
Yeah.
then you can like be like, all right, I'm an adult now. I'm going to college. Try to spread my wings,
Yeah.
and fly. But yeah, no, it's definitely like, you know, I don't knock anyone for that because like I've been there.
Exactly. So you were saying how you were like going to open mics recently and have been trying out like trying to do stand up. How has that been going so far for you? Like, have you been enjoying it?
I've been enjoying it. I started going less these past 2 weeks just because I've been working on a short film script, so I've been
Mm-hmm.
kind of like preoccupied with like focusing my creative creative energy on that. But yeah, when doing stand up, it is a lot of fun. It is fun trying new things. Um, I definitely was uh, kind of, like I tried doing it like a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, okay, this is fun. I feel like I should just do it. I mean, I'm always with the mindset that like you just gotta be brave enough to suck at something
Yeah.
in public, because then you're just like, okay, you'll get better, right? Like I feel like as long as you don't go to like places where like you oversell yourself, like if you go straight to the comedy store and you're new, they're just gonna be like, wow, that guy sucks. Because mostly it's the seasoned comics that go there,
Yeah.
you know. So um, I'm just like, okay, like obviously don't go there. But going to like other open mics and stuff, it's been very, very nice and it's been very fun. Um, it's nice when a joke works. It's also nice you know, when you know that something new works. But it's also actually very rewarding to be like to do a joke and then realize that it's not working, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
like a joke works like tag after tag after tag, but then like the final punchline doesn't hit, you know,
Yeah.
like like at first it's just kind of like oh shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
like that did not work, but the other stuff did. But I think it's more of like kind of going into it with like a positive mindset of instead of going like, oh, I'm gonna make all these people laugh, like kind of like treat it like a very difficult game where
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, okay, like have you played Flappy Bird?
I have indeed.
And it's like, it's hard as hell. You get like
Yeah.
you get a rush when you get like 10 points, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like I try to treat like every mic like that, where it's just like, okay, how many laughs can I get, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because then it's just like I feel like it's a better metric to run off of. Because if you expect zero and you get like 8 in a minute, uh, or not a minute, in like a 5 minute time frame, you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I mean, obviously you're not there yet, but like at least you got 8 in 5 minutes. Let's see how many I can get. Next time I go to a mic and um, figure it out. But I mean, that's why I'm definitely trying to like do it more often because I think it's important to kind of work every different comedic muscle,
Mm-hmm.
just because like I feel more confident with like sketch and stuff like that. I think it's also good to kind of broaden that into stand up as well. But yeah.
Do you does your like writing change depending on whether you're writing for like stand up or for a sketch, or is it like you can use the same idea and like express it out in a different way?
It's funny you say that because actually there are quite a few videos I've done with Todd Glass where we'll take like an existing bit from one of his, an existing stand-up bit, and I'll help him like translate that to like a sketch.
Mm.
Like, oh, what if we did this as a sketch instead,
Yeah.
right? Instead of as like a stand-up joke, it's like an actual realized like little TikTok video. Um, and it tends to work pretty well actually, and especially the people who are fans of his that are like, oh, like it's that like they know the bit, so they kind of comment, about kind of playing along with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always fun to see that. And I was got me thinking like, oh yeah, I could probably like some jokes that I like that I've probably written for my videos, I could probably repurpose in a way, right, or vice versa. Um, but I think it's but even then, like the writing style is pretty different, you know, um, just because one is literally you holding a audience hostage and trying to make them laugh,
Yeah.
and then the other one is like kind of more, a little bit more like, people stumble upon it, and it's a little bit more like in the moment in the sense because it's like, oh, this is an instance that I am like watching, the same
Yeah.
sketch. Whereas with the stand up joke, it's like, well, that guy's literally up there to make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the difference in that. But that being said, I think you could definitely feel someone's voice, comedic voice, no matter what type of style they're writing in, right? What no matter what format they're writing in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that yeah, it's a whole like training different comedic muscles thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
I feel like the definitely your pouty officer skit
uh,
could be good.
yeah, I've actually thought of not that character specifically, but like the boss's son character,
Yeah.
maybe doing like some stand up in that character
Uh-huh.
could be fun. Um, just because it's a very specific archetype. The pouty police officer, I think it would be, it definitely feels more like a sketch character,
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, what the hell is this, you know, like is this a real police officer? Like, what the hell's going on here,
Yeah.
Um, but I think with the boss's son, it's like everyone has met someone or seen someone that behaves like this, completely tone deaf to like any other like lower class below them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there's definitely a good use of like I'm that's the thing, like when I try to like make videos, I think in the past, and I think it's something that I really have to try to incorporate more currently, which I haven't been,
Mm-hmm.
is, like a lot of people try to find like when they want to go viral or whatever, they always
Yeah.
try to find like some sort of like need that they can just do over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And what I usually tell my like comedian friends is like, yo, don't do like a niche. Maybe find like a format, but honestly, like finding a character is very nice and useful
Yeah.
because people start to kind of latch onto that character, and you could just, you know, instead of doing like the same trend over and over, it's like, oh, just use this same character over and over and just put them in different situations and scenarios. And it's a lot more rewarding too because you don't get it doesn't grow stale, as stale,
Yeah.
as quickly stale as the just doing trends over and over. But yeah,
It's kind of like instead of doing the same dance over and over again, you're doing the same person but different dances.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. And you've mentioned like just earlier how you originally was more interested in pursuing music. Have you ever thought of like intertwining your music into your comedy, like kind of like Bo Burnham?
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of my favorites. Uh, like I've always liked him, and I've always liked him like just as like a person as well. I thought he had very good takes just on things in general, whether it's like cultural or political. But he really like won me over and made me like a solid like full on fan like when he released Inside. Um, Now the thing is like I do like that just the amount of different genres he can do musically with
Mm-hmm.
different jokes. Like you could tell this guy's just straight up a musician as well. But then also like during that special, there are some songs that are just like they're not funny at all, but like you just can't help but like sit and listen to it.
Yeah.
Um, and I've thought of doing music comedically, but I think ultimately what's funny is that like have you heard like Tim Minchin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like an Australian pianist and
Mm-hmm.
comedian. He's said in multiple times in multiple interviews that he would like he's always tried to write just regular music, but he just can't help but make it silly with
Yeah.
the lyrics. Uh, and for me, it's kind of like the opposite. Like I can't. It's hard for me to kind of make it funny. I think it's because like I feel like I kind of already have an outlet there when it comes to like how I want to express myself comedically that I kind of save music for things that I feel like are a little bit more like serious, I guess. Not that comedy can't be serious. Like I
Yeah.
think most of my favorite types of comedy, are ones that obviously punch up and I do like edgy comedy, but I think edgy comedy should have a point.
Mm-hmm.
It should have some commentary, and it should be actually insightful and not just like punching down. Punching down on like trans people
Yeah,
or
yeah.
disenfranchised groups. Like I feel like it's just lazy writing. Um, but I think when it comes to my music, like I do think there are some elements that I'm just like I basically I just want it to be a bop, like
Yeah, yeah.
like I want the lyrics to be something that are like feels kind of like a story, which is also the part of songwriting I really like. It's just I just like writing in
Yeah.
general. So I think that's why when it comes to music, it's not necessarily like like Bo Burnham, Fly the Concords,
Yeah.
Tim Minchin style comedy songs. But yeah.
I mean, you wrote My Friends Keep Running Away, so
Oh, you saw that? Oh my
I
god!
did see it.
Oh my god! Yeah, no. You know what's funny is that was for a smartphone film festival,
Yeah.
and like nowadays, like I feel like with smartphones, you could like literally film like things where you're just like it's indistinguishable if it's like actually a phone camera or not,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I think with my friends keep running away, that was when like the cameras were still kind of like this is obviously a phone,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Um, and what's funny about that is so many of my classmates were doing like serious dramatic stuff, like they do it in black and white, or they do it like you know it'd always be like a drama.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like we're college kids, so it's like not many of us have really lived a life that's so full of tragedy.
Yeah.
Besides like, oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
Like that's it. It's like, oh yeah, that sucks, but it's not like Requiem for a Dream, where it's like people literally struggling with addiction.
Hmm.
Granted, there are plenty of college students who do struggle with
Yeah.
some very serious stuff, but
Yeah.
I feel like if you can risk going to film school, and not pursue a career in something that's more realistic, then uh, your struggles are probably going to end up being more first world problems.
Yeah.
Um, so when I made that video, I was like, I'm gonna do a comedy musical, you know. Um, and what's funny is it ended up winning. Um,
Yeah, I saw I got
and
first place.
yeah, I got first place. So my legacy at my school is just a big fat like it's basically a dick joke, but and like that's my legacy at my school.
That's what you're known for.
It's, yeah, it's getting first place for a video about some guy having being bricked up. But yeah, that's it. But you know, and I think that's why it won as well, because it was different. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't only a musical, but just the topic and the punchline was so stupid and ridiculous. Because there were definitely other like comedy skits too, but funny enough, there were only like three or four other ones that are like comedy skits, and then the
Hmm.
rest were like all like dramas
Oh.
or like, and then like a couple like documentaries. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like doing a documentary with a phone,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool as a film student. But yeah, no, like I would definitely like I can definitely write musical comedy, but it's like I just like don't have as much motivation when it comes to it, right? Unless I think like something's really like funny. Like I've done a couple musical comedy skits before. Like I did one called like my friend literally had a kid like 3 or 4 years ago now, but I made a diss track on his baby because he would because he's not hanging out with me anymore
Someone
because
likes
he's
punching up.
yeah. Yeah. This baby is for the bourgeois. I need to really show him where his place is. But yeah, it's just I think especially with that one, like even though it's like punching down, it's like I feel like the only times it's appropriate to punch down is if it's obvious that the person that's punching down is in the wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Because then in a way you are punching up because you're punching up on the people that should know better but don't, you know?
Like you're kind of
Um,
punching down. You're punching down in a sarcastic way.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, one of those. Obviously, it's easier with a baby because to tell that it's satire because it's like, yeah, obviously this guy's not actually pissed at this guy's baby, because it's like it literally can't do anything but
Yeah.
exist. Um, but I think the part where it gets a little muddled and where satire actually needs to be where it gets tricky, I think, is when you're punching down sarcastically on you know, like the LGBTQ or
Hmm.
minorities or women, I think that's where, or like, people living in third world countries. I think that's where punching down like ironically gets very difficult because there are so many like times where where satire gets misconstrued by like people who are especially like conservative or like bigoted, you know, um, and they kind of don't get the joke.
Yeah.
They just agree with it. They just think it's funny because it's like racist, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the racism is the joke. And it's like, oh no, it's the person being obviously in the wrong. That's the joke, is that this is what you look like when you do
Exactly.
this.
He's making fun of you.
Yeah, but they don't see that. They're like, "Oh, that guy's so mean." Like they see it, but they don't realize the irony behind it. They're like, "Oh, I'm literally Homelander. I'm so home. I'm literally Homelander."
You watch The Boys?
Oh yeah, no, I love that show. I mean, I think it's like kind of like a 50-50. Like there's parts of it where I'm just like, this is so fucking dumb, and then there are other parts of it where I'm just like, this is so well done. You know,
Yeah.
um, like it's just like there's certain plot lines where you're like, yeah, I don't really care about this, and then there are other parts where you're like, oh crap, that really hit.
Yeah.
Especially with the satire. And you know what's funny? Actually, I see a lot of people like kind of talk about like how like even for their own tastes, like as people who like agree with like where the stance of the boys is,
Hmm.
you know, they like kind of like, oh yeah, I think the satire is too obvious, you know, where it's like, oh yeah, like they are literally just doing the thing. They're literally just saying it's on January 6th and kind of doing that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I get the satire being obvious does make it feel more on the nose, but
Yeah.
like when you've gone 4 seasons and there are still people every season realizing that the show's making fun of them, you know, it's like maybe it has to be kind of a little bit more on the nose for those people to kind of get it
Yeah.
that they're the ones that are being made fun of, because you know, most people who are just like normal people, they're like, oh wow, that's very on the nose. Why are they making it so on the nose? I mean, me, a normal person, can tell it's already satire. Why are they making it so obvious?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well, it's because like some people are so far gone they can't even see it unless it's that obvious,
Hmm.
um, which is very tricky because the thing is like you don't want it to be too on the nose,
Yeah.
but at the same time you want it to hit, you know, like that's how you end up like people who like unironically dress up as Homelander and then go to a Trump rally, like it's insane. Um, but yeah, it's a very tricky balance
Yeah.
to strike in terms of like comedy and satire, but it is also something I really enjoy is satire in general. I think I think that's what I like about comedy a lot. Like I think as like a writer is I like comedy that um, has a point behind it, because I think no matter what you say, like if you're like, oh, I don't like comedy that's like political, it's like, dude, thing is, everything's political, you
Hmm.
know, all art is political, like that's why some of the best art, the most influential art, it all is has social commentary involved, and social commentary is inherently political. So usually when I see comedians at open mics, especially,
Oh God.
who are kind of like saying stuff like, oh, like comedy, yeah, we don't do any of this like political comedy, like comedy stuff. It's like, well, even the dumbest joke has like some underlying like political commentary to it,
Yeah. There's some
Um,
opinions like with the joke. So
yeah, you're literally like every joke is an opinion in a way,
yeah.
like even like the dumbest stuff, like on the I think you should leave, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
like you could say there's like a little bit of politics there. Like one of my favorite sketches is um the one with the professor who like really wants to eat that guy's like hamburger. He's like, oh, I should have gotten that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. But like, I think what makes it so funny is that like it's obviously just a professor taking advantage of the good graces of his students, you know, uh, to get away with just taking one of the students' meals, because
Exactly.
he didn't like what he ordered. It's like that's literally actually political. Like I think that's why it's so funny and ridiculous is because it's over a burger. When in the real world, like a power imbalance, like that kind of like dynamic anywhere else can come off a lot more sinister. you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of like an actual just like getting food at like an Applebee's or something, like
Yeah.
it's just so silly, you know. But yeah, I feel like you can always find something that is inherently like does have commentary in it, no matter how stupid the joke is.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, there are things that are just straight up just dumb for the sake of being dumb, and yeah, there's that. But yeah,
I mean, like, speaking of dumb jokes, I was just wondering, do people make fun of your name because your name is Chad?
my God, yeah, yeah. So it's funny actually. One of the jokes I've been telling at open mics is literally just about my name and how people don't believe it's like my real name.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is like they see like an Asian guy with like the whitest fucking name like known to man.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the first three people you meet at a frat party.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just like at least the name Chad doesn't have too much of like a negative connotation, but it definitely is a meme. People definitely think of like some dude with like a chiseled
Yeah.
jawline.
I never
Like,
got it. I never got the joke.
I think it's just because like I don't know, it's kind of like Brad or like Tyler. It's just like there are certain names where you kind of associate them. Like here, that's another. Okay, low key,
Yeah.
same point. Even that meme is a little bit political because the thing is, the people with those names
Yeah.
tend to be white people that live in suburbs that tend to be better off, which tend to, be more into like have more time for like sports in like high
Mm-hmm.
school and stuff. So you see more people with those whiter sounding names going to sports like that, and you're like, oh, it becomes a stereotype.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Chad, that's a jock name.
Yeah.
And it's just because of just like our socio-political, like a socioeconomic, like uh, like status in the world, and just in the U.S. That has become a name associated with like jocks.
Yeah.
Like even something as dumb as that can be traced back to like some sort of political, kind of like politically adjacent reasoning. Not that I think people should go that deep,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, do you know this is why, just like they don't have to like
Oh
go
god.
that far, but like, but it just kind of shows like how pervasive it is,
Mm-hmm.
like it's literally just how society functions, and I think it's so it doesn't really bother me at all.
Yeah.
I'm so used to it, like I like my name. I don't like when I hear my name, like I don't even understand like my name. When you say your name too much and you just start, it just becomes a sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just what I hear. I'm like, oh, that's just it's like a sound. I mean, like it has no meaning to me other than like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
So like it's funny. I don't really get many people like actually commenting
Mm-hmm.
on my videos about like, oh, I can't believe this guy's name is Chad. It's more like
A Kevin.
it's yeah. They're like, oh, this is like a Kevin. It's like, nah, I know plenty of Kevins, but yeah, I think it's just kind of I don't know. It's funny. I like my name mainly because it's not what you expect my name to be. So
Yeah. No, I find it really funny because, like, for example, in like icebreakers at school, they're like, "Oh, like, what is your name? Like, how did your parents pick out your name? Does it have any special resemblance?" And then I'm just like, my parents literally like picked it out of a paper bag. Like there was like three choices, and it was just like the one they chose, and they're like, "Okay, this guess is her name now." Like there's like literally no special thing towards it. So
like, oh, these are the three we like, and then here it is.
yeah.
Like it's funny because like I was actually my mom really wanted to call me Nicholas.
Hmm.
My mom's Korean and my dad's white, but my dad was like, well, honey, like if you call him Nicholas, everyone's just gonna call him Nick. She's like, oh, I don't like that name. That's so ugly. So then they're just like, okay. Yeah, and then my dad was like, how about Chad? And she's like, yeah, I like Chad. So now that's my middle name is Nicholas. But
Oh,
yeah. And you know what's funny about that is
yeah,
no one shortens a middle name.
that's
No one's
true.
gonna be like Chad Nick Maxwell unless I start going by my middle name.
Yeah.
But like if they say my full name, they're gonna say my full name. So
Hmm.
I guess she kind of won in that regard.
Yeah.
She got her Nicholas. But yeah.
I mean, it's weird because my name is like usually people say Natalie, but then some people go Nat. But the thing is, Nat can also mean the bug Nat.
Yeah.
So when I'm like,
Really?
so people call me Nat, and I'm just like, and they're like, oh wait, that's like a bug, and I'm like, I don't
Oh, are you
really.
call? Do you think I'm annoying? Like,
No,
is that why you're calling me that?
yeah, like I did not know. Like I thought Natalie was a fine name, but until I moved to Michigan, I got some really weird nicknames. Like my friend started calling me Rat because yeah, and the joke got so far that I actually like I actually respond to Rat now, which is so bad. It's
That's funny.
it's so bad. And one of my friends actually gifted me like a stuffed like rat animal.
I always thought that like because my sister's name is Natalie, so
Mhm.
like I like it's funny. We're like, oh, well, we should come up with like when we're a little kid, we're like, oh, we should come up with like nicknames.
Mhm.
And then we're like, oh, Nat, like, oh no, that's like a bug. So we're like, how about Tally? And she's like,
What?
yeah, I like that. But now that she's like, an adult, she's like, yeah. It always throws me off because all her friends call her Nat, and me and my family, like, we just call her Natalie. Like,
No, yeah,
we,
like
we call her the whole thing. I think, low key, I think it's because we're so Californian, we pronounce it almost like it's one word, like one
mhm.
syllable,
Yeah.
you know? Because, like, other people, they're probably like, oh, Natalie, like, I'm just going to say Nat. And then I'm just like, oh, Natalie, just like,
Yeah.
it just kind of rolls off because I've been saying it all my life. Um, but yeah, it always throws me off when I hear her friends call her Nat. I'm like,
It's funny because no one calls me Nat. So when so someone actually calls me Nat, I get so startled because I'm just like, "Oh, are they trying to like say like call me out?" Like I don't usually go by that name.
like when parents use your first, middle, and last name
Yeah.
when you're in trouble. Yeah.
No, but it's also
Yeah.
weird.
Is it because they all call you Rat?
Only one of my friends actually call me Rat, but it's become like a
Yeah.
running joke. Like it's actually right here, but I have a rat like a literal rat given to me for
Nice.
Christmas, and I was like, all right, like okay.
Just run with it.
I mean I can't do anything else with it. She calls me Bat too, so like I don't want to pet Bat and like later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really weird. Um, no, yeah, I actually, you were talking about how you were making using your name for like a stand-up joke. I was actually when I was writing stand-up material back when I thought I could do stand-up. Um, I actually was using my name Natalie for stand-up too, like for stand-up material because
Uh,
it's just like so funny. And also like especially I don't know if you have like a Korean name or something, but like my
mhm.
parents are both Chinese, so like they created a Chinese name, but my Chinese name is actually like the plainest thing ever. Like it feels like an
Yeah.
Americanized Chinese name. So like
Uh huh.
my last name is Guo, so my first is like Guo, and then my actual name is Nana. So it's like, oh, you can get it from Natalie. It's just like I'm like, is that your nickname? I'm like, no, that's my actual name. I just have the two of the same letters.
Nah.
I know.
Dang.
And it's
Yeah. No, it almost makes us feel like that's why your parents chose that name.
exactly. And it's really
Yeah.
funny because like they can buy like my mom like once bought a picture frame. It's like, oh, like sweet like Nana. It's like supposed to mean like your grandmother, but in this case it means me. And I'm like, Mom, that's not the
It's
actual like
funny.
reason. Like,
It's like, oh, I was wondering why it's just like cookies and like rosaries. Yeah, no, it's that's funny.
yeah.
Just going to the senior section to get your daughter a personalized card.
Yeah. It's just there for you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. Yeah, my no one no one ever calls me like Korean names, like ever. Like not even my mom, which is funny. Like not even my cousins back in Korea. Like they just go Chedu, Chedia, yeah. But uh, so whenever it's funny, the people who know my Korean names the most are like my white friends. They're like, yo, you have a Korean name? Like, and then they're just so like fascinated by it, you know, to a point where like one of my buddies, Matt Shaver, in his phone, my name is just Sehan. Yeah, he like actually, he's like, how do you spell that? Like he was like, I need to spell it right, which is nice.
Yeah.
Not that I'm ever addressed by that name ever, but
I mean, yeah, mine's kind of self-explanatory. You can't really go wrong with mine. So, and when you decided to go into like a film or film, I guess, theater and acting, what were your parents' reaction towards this?
so I was very fortunate to have like parents who were very supportive of me pursuing the arts because um like my mom, is like from Korea.
Hmm.
Um, she's actually the only person on her side of the family that lives in the U.S.
Wow.
Um, so she's like literally over here like on her own, but she she would kind of be that general Korean immigrant parent stereotype, but it kind of balanced out because I had a white dad from California who was like, "Yo, honey, chill,"
Yeah,
So like,
this is America.
it kind of like balanced things out, because I mean, that being said, some aspects I actually felt like my dad was actually a little bit more strict in, like, obviously my mom wanted me to get good grades, but my dad would institute the rules of like, oh yeah, you can't play Pokemon until you get this grade up to a B plus. But
You were a
they were never
Pokemon kid?
like, yeah, I was definitely a Pokemon kid.
Me too. I literally have like a binder somewhere over here with Pokemon cards.
I've been playing since like Pokemon Yellow.
Oh my god.
I still play them. I've got every single version of Pokemon except for like Gen 2. That's the only generation I missed.
Wow.
But yeah, it's fun. Like they would literally just be like, well, what's nice is like, they weren't like C's get degrees, right? But they were also weren't like, oh, you have to be Asian, not Bayesian. They weren't like
Yeah.
anything like that. It was just like, oh, like make sure it's not a B minus, and then anything higher is fine. But also they were like, make sure you have at least three A's. But then during college, because like none of them have. I mean, my mom went to college, but my dad didn't actually. He straight up went from college directly into computer programming,
Wow.
just because that's what he was doing as a kid. And it was such a new thing that they didn't even have college courses for it. Just went straight into the industry. Um, so, I was technically the first person in my immediate family to graduate from like college in America. So, uh, they're like, when I told them like, yo, so this is a lot harder. They're like, okay, yeah, just graduate. Because they're like, no job is literally going to be like, hey, what GPA do you have?
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, hey, did you graduate? Good. So, um, that's kind of like all they care about in college, and that's also where college is a little bit more lax because you can also be like, oh, I'm not going to show up to this class actually. Um, but
I mean, you could do that in high school. Like, not saying that I did skip, but
mhm.
I'm not saying I didn't skip, you know?
It's a lot easier in college because like in high school you could get like written up and stuff, but in college it's like they're just like, well, we already have your money, you know.
Yeah,
So if you don't show up, that's on you, you know, because that just
exactly.
means you will have to pay more to make up those credits if you don't pass. So um, it's nice. It feels more kind of uh, like a class you would take just like outside of school. Yeah, no, it was always something that was nice that my parents were very like supportive of like me pursuing the arts because like ever since I was little, I was always like drawing and doing stuff and like
Mm-hmm.
at first actually I wanted to be like an animator.
Ooh.
I watched a lot of Newgrounds back in the day. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's you know, it's kind of like we're like Ego Raptor and like you know the Cyanide and Happiness guys and like you know uh, Michael Cusack and is it Michael Cusack? No, no, no. Well, the guys that made Smiling Friends, they're also from Newgrounds, but
Mm.
like I wanted to do that as a kid first, so like they like had a friend who got like a bootleg copy of Flash animation,
Yeah.
you know, and I would just use that and do some animating, and it was so much fun. But it also took freaking forever. It's like 8 hours just to do a walk cycle, you know.
Yeah. I dabbled in a little like animating just for like fun, like on my phone and shit. But like it's like if you want it to look smooth, it is so hard. It takes so much
If you
effort.
wanted to be like Ghibli status, like that's like an art form that you have to like spend your life learning. Like so, yeah, no, they're always very open about it. They're always trying to put me in a lot. You know, obviously I had to learn instruments because of my mom.
What'd you
You know,
play?
all that
Violin?
stuff. No, actually, just piano.
Ah,
That was she really liked piano,
the
so
standard.
we're like, okay, cool. And then she was like, oh, I was like, I want to learn guitar. She's like, okay. And then I was like, I want to learn how to sing. So she's like, okay. So like, it's nice because like I definitely came from like a very lucky and privileged upbringing where I, you know, not only have parents that supported my creativity, but also like were in a position to help, um, you know, send me to classes
Mm,
and stuff like that to learn as well. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have that.
yeah. See the thing See the thing is I know my parents will be strict on my grades. Like right now they're not because they're like because I am strict on my own grades. Because I'm like if I get it like below an A minus, I would be like this is disappointing. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm like on a down slope. And then they might be like that during college. And because my sister literally freaking set such a high standard, she went to freaking like UPenn, and I can't beat that. Like I can't beat that. Like 20 years later, how am I supposed to get into a like an Ivy League when there's like
Yeah,
3% acceptance rate?
no, that's wild. Yeah, I think a lot of parents kind of quickly realize like once you go into college, it's like okay, at this point, it's just like just graduate. Yeah, because I think if you go into like you know STEM or something, then maybe sometimes they check your GPA. You know,
I mean,
resume.
for medical school, the GPA is like a huge thing. So
Yeah, but like if you're just kind of like going like okay, I'll just be like a biomedical, you know, just like you know, you could settle for B's, you know, with an occasional C, you know.
yeah.
It's not too bad. And also the way the grades are weighted in the GPA are different. So like people are like it's, you know like a 3.5 GPA in high school is like oh that's satisfactory. You know, it's
Hmm.
whatever. It's not 4.0, but it's good enough. But like 3.5 in college, it's like, damn, you're smart.
Yeah,
Like,
I think I'm gonna like that reality is gonna hit me hard. I want to be like, oh, I'm not gonna get that. Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it can also surprise you. Maybe it's easier.
All right, last question. So, what would your advice be to people who want to pursue this type of career?
Well, besides like starting as early as you can, I would say make sure your parents are already comedians.
That's
That's a
called
surefire way to
nepotism.
become. Yeah, do that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, if you're not a nepo baby, um, like a lot of us that are trying to break into it, I would say just literally, it's all about putting in the reps,
Hmm.
right? So, like, treat it like you're kind of like going to the gym. Like
Yeah.
you should like do it. You should learn. You should also something you learn in like film school, like for writing, is like kill your darlings. It's like if you think something is working, or if you like a joke but it's not working, like just kill it. Just figure something else out for that joke because like obviously something's not working. So it's just like you got to figure something else out. You got to try something like drastically different
Hmm.
in order to maybe figure out what makes that tick because you can always return to it later and be like, oh, maybe this new perspective, maybe like 2 years later, you'll be like, oh wow, why was I doing that with that one joke? I should have been doing this,
Hmm.
um, just because you're putting in the experience. Because I think that's what it is. I think the people I see that don't really end up going anywhere just are so adamant about doing the same thing over and over and over without changing anything,
Hmm.
right? Because that's just not how you improve, right? Like they're doing the thing right where they're putting the reps in,
Yeah.
but they're not differentiating. They're not changing things up enough.
They're not like
And
improving. They're like between each rep.
yeah, exactly. It's almost like if you were to do the same exact workout all the time,
Hmm.
right? And it's like no, like your body will when you start doing push-ups or whatever, right? You like your body will get sore, and then like after a while, you're like, yeah, that's soreness, that's improvement, right? But
Hmm.
then after a while, you keep doing that same exercise, and your body is so used to it, it doesn't get sore anymore,
Yeah.
right? So and so that's why you got to like change up the exercise and go from maybe only doing push-ups to maybe doing another thing that can supplement that. So I think like if you want to get into comedy, um, funny enough, if you want to get into comedy in a way that can, where you can like actually turn it into something, like have a higher chance of turning it into something, is diversify, right? So start writing sketches, start doing sketches, do acting, uh, hell, take improv classes, do clowning, uh, do uh, stand up all the time. Like try to do as many things that like because I feel like if you like making people laugh, then you probably will like making people laugh in different mediums,
Yeah.
right? So I think just getting good at all of that because doing all those things will give you more perspective on stand up. I think. Then again, I'm not a stand up. I'm more of a sketch person. I'm more of a writer.
Hmm.
But same thing kind of goes with me. Like, I think the biggest thing that they taught in film school, to be honest, was like, hey, like, don't just be a writer. Don't just be a editor. Learn all this other stuff. You should learn how to be in front of the camera. You should learn how to be behind the camera. You should learn how to edit. You should learn the post production, the pre production, all that stuff, right? And that way, if one of those things, sound design, like that way, if when you go out into the field, you can find a job in one of those things,
Yeah.
right? it's instead of like casting like a single fishing hook, you're
Mm-hmm.
casting out a net,
Yeah.
right? You're more likely to catch something. It might not be the exact thing you want, but you're gonna catch something at least, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with comedy, and I think the same things with the whole film thing also kind of complements comedy. Like, dude, like if you're doing comedy, start getting into camera work too. Like, there's a bunch of funny stuff that can be that funny jokes that can just be through camera work. Um, and but and that's what's cool is like maybe if you get really good in doing cinematography, you can also do that for a job while doing comedy.
Yeah.
You know, like I know plenty of people who want to be cinematographers, um, who end up, you know, photographing and videotaping weddings, and they make bank. You know, in the meantime, while they're trying to figure out the more stuff they really want to do.
Yeah.
Right. So, um, but what's nice is at least they're putting the reps in for work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they're not just putting the reps in; they're also getting paid for putting the reps in. It might not be exactly the type of thing they want to do, but at least they're able to live and breathe it instead of being stuck at like some job that they don't like at all, that's unrelated to that at all. But the fun part is because it's comedy, though, you could probably get a lot of material from even the most mundane job as opposed to if you were a cinematographer. But
That
yeah,
is
just
true.
my 2 cents. I'm basically in conclusion, diversify your skill set, um, put the reps in, make sure you're doing new things all the time and challenging yourself, and make sure you're having fun because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Well, great answer to a great question.
I talk a lot.
You do yap a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm a yapper.
D1 yapper right there. Thank you so much for talking with me. I hope to see you in
Yeah, for
person
sure.
someday if I do ever go visit LA or if you do ever come visit Michigan. Um,
Cool.
yeah, and I'll definitely try to see Rory if I can, and then
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you if I do.
Okay, sounds good.
All
That
right,
sounds awesome.
all right.
Yo, Natalie, this was great. Thanks for having me on. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I would love to talk to you again if you could.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, go to your film premiere. I have to go eat dinner,
Good.
so.
All right, have fun with that.
All right.
All right, see ya.
See ya. Wow, you actually listened to the end? Good for you. That was a long conversation. I really hope that you didn't hate my voice by the end of it. I really enjoyed this talk with him, though I do believe I could have been better and improved. Knowing me, I was nervous while talking to him, but I actually really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope to talk with him again because he seems like a very funny guy just as a person and is able to craft up material that is very unique and has an interesting outlook and perspective on life, not in just a comedy way, but also in more philosophical, which is very interesting to me because comedy inherently is philosophy in a way. At least I enjoy the comedy that's like that. I don't really enjoy stupid comedy, but sometimes I laugh at also that too. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. Happy holidays, and see you next time.